Hit some great points. I actually took some notes, so we want to go over some of the things that you talked about. I know a lot of people, they text me, they Facebook me saying they felt so inspired and just so like blessed to be able to pick up those gems you dropped. It's not often that, us people getting out here in the beginning get to talk to people like yourself who are making it and shaking it.
Well, good. I'm excited that every time I go and speak, that's one of my missions and goals, is to add value and not to really impress people, but really to impact and inspire and influence them. So I'm excited that we're able to do that.
Well, let me just get started a little bit. I know we had heard a little bit of your backstory. You're from California, Compton, California. You joined the Army, and essentially that's kind of what got you into your entrepreneurship path after joining the Army. Can you tell us a little bit about that transition, as some of us are trying to transition out of our corporate jobs or things that we kind of got into by accident?
Yeah, so let's back up a little bit. Maybe since I was 7 years old, I've been an entrepreneur. Like, I got the entrepreneurship bug when I was 7 years old, and I'll say this little story. My mom took me to a store called Smart and Finals, and when I went there, she bought me this candy, all this assorted mint of candy, and when I got that candy, I took it to school, had it in my book bag, and literally within, an hour, I sold out. And I got down to I never forget, I got down to my last blow pop, my last Lucky Charm blow pop, and the bidding war started, right? I ended up selling that blow pop for something like $2.30.
Wow.
And the box itself was only like, $5. And so when I got home, I saw all this money that I had. And ever since then, I knew I was an entrepreneur. But I was a little kid, so I had to go through the educational system, right? I had to get kind of stuck in school and do the school thing. But when I got older and joined the military, I loved the military, but there was just something that was pulling me, saying you need to be working for yourself, or you need to be doing something different. And so I did 6 years in the Army, loved the Army. But for those of you that are entrepreneurs, being in a cubicle, being in confines, it's like being a fish out of water.
Right.
So I had to get back in the water, and that's what entrepreneurship is for me, getting back in the water.
Nice. So that's basically going back to your roots.
Going back to my roots. I had to get back in the water.
Okay, great. And so is that where you transitioned from out of the military to start doing speaking?
So I was in the military. That's when I started getting really heavily involved in personal development, listening to Les Brown, listening to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Dennis Whaley, all the greats.
Right.
And I just saw how much they inspired me, how they impacted my life. This kid from Compton who was getting into trouble, and listening to them. I listened to Les Brown every single day for a whole year. You got to be hungry, Miss Mamie Brown's baby boy, right? I listened to him for a whole year, and I saw the mind transformation it was having on me, and I said, man, I would love to do something like that. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know you could be a speaker, right? But I began to pursue that, and I started a consultant company, a leadership development consultant company, and we ran it in Germany for 10 years before I moved it here to Arizona. So that was kind of the genesis of where I got started. It was just by listening and being inspired by other people, and then my purpose kind of just got to me and said, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And so for the last 17 years now, that's what I've been doing.
Nice, that's awesome. So I've seen on one of your advertisings it says thought leader. Like, that's like the new term, I guess,
Yeah.
new age. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what that means?
So to be honest with you, when I began to do my research, and as an entrepreneur, whatever field you go into, you should do research. And so for me, one of my practices has always been to model who is at the top. And so I began to look at who was at the top, who were the people that I admired. And it was people like John Maxwell. It was people like Robin Sharma that was in this industry. And I saw that they were using the tagline thought leader. They weren't really using the tagline motivational speaker or inspirational speaker. They were using thought leader. And so I began to do some research on that. And that's really what I want to do. I want to be a person that helps people think. So I want to be a leader in the area of thought. So thought leader.
Okay.
And so whenever I speak to somebody, whenever you hear me, I want you to walk away and I want you to say, you know what, he gave me something to think about. And in that area, I want to be a leader. So thought leader.
Well, I definitely like how that comes together because we do have to be able to put those thoughts out there and to get people to think about expanding their horizon, essentially.
Right.
Thinking about different things outside of what their comfort zone or what they've been exposed to.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that's good. Okay, so let me see here. I have a few questions for you. You talked about on Friday 5 ways to build your brand and business. So Friday was phenomenal. I definitely want to thank you so much for coming out. People were super excited. We picked up some tidbits from you. I think one of the things that I picked up was the positioning, marketing, and opportunity. Those are the 3 things that stood out to me. Maybe because I'm trying to find my positioning and I'm getting in there. But can you elaborate a little bit more on like how to get into your position, how you can create yourself as a marketer, and how you find those opportunities?
And so when we talk about positioning, and for all the entrepreneurs listening to me, you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you get to decide how you show up. And for me, there's no wrong or right way that you show up. And to make the illustration a little bit easier, let's just look at cars. If you come to the market, you may say, you know what, I'm the Toyota Tercel. I'm going to price my services at this fee, and I'm trying to get to the masses, right? And so I'm trying to sell 1,000. I'm trying to sell 2,000 cars. I'm trying to sell 3,000. Then you may say, you know what? I'm the Cadillac or the Continental, right? I'm that Continental. I'm the Cadillac. I'm 2 or 3 steps above the Toyota Tercel. And so I may not sell as many as the Toyota Tercel people, but my price is a little bit higher, and so maybe the volume that I do is going to be a little bit lower. And then we go to the Bentley or the Rolls Royce. Now, the Bentley and the Rolls Royce, they're never going to sell, 1,000 cars, 10,000 cars a year. Their price tag is different. Their market is different. So as an entrepreneur, you got to ask yourself, how do you want to position yourself? Now, what I find is a lot of people position themselves as a Toyota Tercel, but they try to charge Bentley prices. And so now, in real estate, they say location, location, location. So I'll give you another example. If I'm a barber and I want to charge $150 a haircut, I can't go down to the hood. Right? Because what's going to happen? Everybody that walks into my barbershop, they're going to say, how much you charging? And you say, $150 for a fade. Man, you got to be crazy. Man, you out of your mind.
Right.
But you take that same skill, and where I'm from, or here in Arizona, you go to Scottsdale, and Scottsdale, they're paying $150 all the time.
Right. It's normal.
It's normal for them. And so it wasn't that you didn't have the right skill. It wasn't that you weren't talented or good. You positioned yourself in the wrong place.
Right.
And so I see that a lot of times with entrepreneurs, they haven't gotten clear on their positioning in the market. And so once you get clear, now your message, because every market, there's a different message. Right. So for instance, let's go back to the car. Every year, at the end of the year, you're going to see Toyota have a blowout sale. We have a blowout sale. We're trying to clear out the 2017s, getting ready for the 2018s. You're never going to see Bentley say that. Right. You're never going to see a commercial. You don't even see a commercial for Bentley.
I was going to talk about commercials.
Right? You don't even see a commercial for Bentley, right? It's a different positioning.
That's right.
And so you're never going to see a billboard sign that says, come by Bentley.com. We're having a blowout sale. We're trying to get ready for the 2018s. You're not going to see it. So it's a different message. If you're marketing to someone that's looking for a Bentley, you don't even have to talk about the miles per gallon. You don't have to talk about it's cost efficient. You don't have to talk about the safety because that person who's buying a Bentley is not buying it for cost efficiency, right? And so that's important as an entrepreneur. You got to have your positioning, and then once you get your positioning, you can understand what your message to your market should be.
So one more thing here, and then we're going to take a break. But before we got started, we wanted to mention how a lot of us skip past the numbers.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, it's all about the numbers. I mean, I think even in life, it's all about the numbers. Right. Like, they make math so objective, but it's really, subjective to what's going on in your life.
Everything.
It's everything.
It's everything.
So can we talk about that when we come back?
We can talk about it.
All right. Well, you got to listen to Mind Your Business. We have Dr. Will in the place to be. And you know who I am, Shasta Broaddus. We're going to take a little break, and we will be back shortly.
So Facebook fam, what questions would you have? What questions do you have out there? Type in your questions, and if we don't answer it here on the show, I'll come back later on and answer your questions. So what questions do you have?
Ask questions, ask questions.
And everybody make sure that you go get the app. It's called Support District Radio. You can download the app and listen to my business. Mind your business. Mind your business. Mind your business. And you can listen to all the great shows that Shasta has on here. So download it. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Phoenix time. That throws people off a lot. Go Google current time in Arizona, and you'll see, because we don't observe daylight savings time, so we're different than California right now. Support District Radio. That's right, Jay Hodge. Thank you so much, man, for typing that in.
And then when you get on there, I think you go to Radio Phoenix.
And then when you get on there, you go to Radio Phoenix. What is the most common mistake that you see new entrepreneurs make? What is the most common mistake that you see new entrepreneurs make? You know what, Julio? I think they're not realistic. They don't have realistic expectations. And I know people, I'm the Mr. Motivation and any dream is possible and all that type of stuff. But any dream is possible with the right expectations. I don't care how positive you are, you cannot drive from Phoenix to New York in less than 3 days. Right? I don't care how much motivation you have, how much inspiration you have. That's how much time it takes. And so when you're building out your business, build it with the right expectations. So I think that would be the major mistake that I see everybody, me included. I did that as well. I thought I had a great product, and I said I'm just going to share it with people, and 100 people are going to knock down my door wanting my product. But it doesn't happen like that. But that's a great question. Right, and I think, Julio, all of us are, and Shasta and myself, we were talking about that, especially when you get on social media, and we'll talk a little bit about that on the radio show. People want it overnight, and it just doesn't happen like that. They want it overnight. Can you speak to the uber importance of systems for business to grow and scale? Yeah, Jay Hodge. One of the examples that I always use is McDonald's. McDonald's doesn't have the best burger, they have the best system. They have the most efficient way to get you your food fast. And so when you think about your business, think about a lot of people concentrate on being the best, being the baddest, but they have poor systems. And you can be average with a great system and win the game. How many of us complain about Walmart, right? Oh my God, look at Walmart every time I go in there. But it's a system. It's a madness. We think, it's madness up in there, but that's their system. That's their system. And you see it's working. They still expanding.
Yeah.
All the pre-stores are going out of business. All the Toys R Us, they going out of business.
That's so true.
Yeah, so systems. Yeah, systems are important.
I think somebody asked, how do you find your circle of influence? How do you network and find the people that you can build relationships with that are actually going to feed you business? Yeah.
And so on Shasta's Facebook Live, someone asks, how do you find your network of influence? And I think you do it by your messaging. Like the more you begin to convey, this is what I'm into. If you're into bike riding, then you should only be talking about bike riding. You shouldn't start talking about skating because you meet me and I like to skate, right? Because then you're going to end up with someone who likes skating. You're going to end up with someone who likes bike riding. You're going to end up with somebody who likes biking. You got to stay true to what you do. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, I know how it is. We pick for everything. In our business, they ask us if you're a graphic designer. Well, can you do this? Can you do that? And we just say yes to everything because we want to keep the lights on. But at some time, you got to stay true to who you really are.
So when you're saying staying true to who you are, like somebody like me. So when I first started, I'm in insurance. That's my craft. But now people know me as a networker.
Right.
But I'm still talking insurance. And I'm networking to talk insurance. Right.
And so there's creative ways that you can do that. And a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we have that same issue of how do we stay true, because a lot of us do a lot of different things. And so how do you really stay true? And so for me, I say you promote one thing, but once you've built a relationship with someone, you can let them know about the other things that you do. That's but right. Once again, I think it's very important that you be known for one thing. When I say Big Mac, everybody knows where you can get a Big Mac. When I say Whopper, everybody knows where you can get a Whopper from.
We have one more song, and then we'll come
back
on.
One more song.
Yeah,
all right.
And we'll come back on here. Any other questions?
How do you serve influencers? How do you serve influencers? That's a great question. Let me give you guys a real life story. This just happened. There's been a guy that's an influencer that I've been trying to connect with for like 6 months. And I've been emailing him. We connected on Twitter or something, but I've been emailing him back and forth. We've been trying to zigzag across the states and trying to hit each other. And every time that I'm somewhere, he's just leaving. And every time he's somewhere, I'm just leaving. And so literally like 2 weeks ago, he's from California. His office is in California. I have to be in California to speak on Saturday. And so I reach out to him. I say, hey, I'm coming into California. I would love to have lunch, dinner. I would love to walk your dog. I would love to do anything, wash your windows, anything. Well, what can I do? And he says, oh, man, Will, I hate that I'm going to miss you. I'm flying out Friday night. I don't get back till Tuesday. When do you leave? Well, I was leaving on Monday. But when I found out that he was going to be in Friday, I emailed him back. I said, hey, I'll change my flight to come in on Friday if you're willing to meet with me. And he emailed me back. He says, if you're willing to fly in on Friday, I can meet with you and we can have a conversation. And so when you talk about connecting with influencers, you got to be willing to go that extra mile and be willing to sacrifice. And so it costs me money, right? It costs me money to go do that. I had to change my flight. I had to change my hotel reservations. But it was worth it to me to develop that relationship. And when I met with him, it was just more so about me helping him build his brand and what he's trying to do. That was the value for me. I really didn't want, matter of fact, he just texted me yesterday and said, Will, what can I do for you? And I just told him, just keep doing what you're doing. You're already inspiring me. I just want to be a part of the conversation. So that's how you connect and serve with influencers.
All right, we're going back on. We do have one more question here. Someone wants to ask, explain further your position on helping others, making an impact, and improving one's station in life.
Okay, so how do you make an impact
versus improving just yourself, I guess, your own position?
All right, so I think if you come from a genuine place and your genuineness is to serve, there's a Bible story where Jesus' disciples asked him, who is the greatest among us? And he says, the greatest the greatest is the person who serves. And so for me, if you come from that genuine place of service, it was Zig Ziglar who said, if you help enough people get what they want, you will certainly get what you want. The well can't get wet without the water coming through it, right? You're going to get your just due. There's another parable that says, give and it will be given unto you. It's like you can't give from a place of goodness and it not come back to you. And so I think as you're building your brand, as you're building your business, the more people that you serve, there's no way that you won't be blessed and you won't increase in that. Now, I'm not saying that you got to be strategic as well, right? I know a lot of people who are servers, sometimes they feel as though they get taken advantage of. And so you do want to be strategic about that and help people, not necessarily that you feel can help you, but sow into good ground, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. I think a lot of times, too, is like we always want to help others, but sometimes like you have to bring yourself up so that you can be able to help people in the capacity that you really want to be able to help people in.
And that's a great point, Shasta. Whenever I get on the plane, and whenever you guys get on the plane, you always hear the flight attendant say, "Put your own mask on first before you try to save the world. Put your own mask on first." And especially for entrepreneurs, what that looks like to me is you may have to go get a 9 to 5 to keep your lights on, to put food on your table, to take care of your responsibilities while you're working your side, while you're building your business on the side. Because I tell entrepreneurs all the time, I promise you, when the lights go out, you will not be motivated and you will not be passionate. Right? So make sure you got the foundation stuff taken care of, and then go out and serve in a way where it's not going to put you in a predicament.
True. Any other questions here before I get into my questions? Alrighty. So when you're doing business, as I was saying, my coffee chats is basically the platform to show people how to start that business conversation, partnerships and collaboration. When you're considering partnering with another person or business, what factors are deal breakers for you? Like, how do you know whether to move forward with them or not?
If they're just frustrating, right? My whole life is built around me being happy. Like, that's my goal in life. My tagline would be, do good and be happy. And so if you impact those two things, me doing good and me being happy, I can't work with you, right? And so it's not worth any amount of money for me to wake up and say, "Oh, I got to work with Bridget today. Oh my God, I know she's going to be complaining. I know she's going to have some excuses." If you're that type of person, I really don't want to work with you. If you're always making excuses, if you're always complaining, if you always have a woe is me story, if the sky is always falling. I'm not saying we don't have challenges. I'm not saying we don't have obstacles. But if your perspective is me against the world, then that's not the type of energy that I want to be around. And so for me, that's a deal breaker. A lot of people, they're always amazed because I very rarely work with contracts. I very rarely need all of this rigmarole. It's basically a feeling with me. Like, if I'm feeling you, we have a coffee chat, we have a conversation, and I get that good vibe, that good sensation from you, then we can work together. But if I feel like working with you is going to be work, then I don't want to work with you.
Right. If it's stressful,
I don't want to work with you.
That's not the kind of work.
That's not the kind of work I want.
True. I definitely can see that. Nobody, like they say, like, every customer is not the customer for you.
Right.
So
and you got to be okay with that, right? And that goes back to your messaging and being clear, right, on who you want to work with. And one of the great ways I share that and explain that is like teachers. You have a teacher who is passionate about working with kindergartners. And then you have another teacher who says, "Oh my God, I would go crazy working with kindergartners, so I need to be in the college arena, or I need to do high school." You have that same teacher who loves the kindergarten who says, "Oh, I can't deal with teenagers. I can't deal." So you got to be very clear on what excites you and motivates you. And I think that's why so many people are beat down, because they're not clear on who really excites them and what work really excites them.
And who they're trying to help.
Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, who do you want to be a hero to? You don't have to be a hero to everybody, but you do need to know who you want to be a hero to, and that's very important.
Nice. So, okay, somebody was there on Friday. They have another question.
All right.
So they asked the first question about improving your life versus impacting others versus improving your life. And he said that when you said, "I don't care about helping anybody" on Friday, you were joking. Did you say that?
No, what I said on Friday was my true motivation is providing for my family. That is my true motivation, is providing. I will not back down from that. That is my true motivation, providing for my family. And I think a lot of people aren't honest about that, because if you're honest about that, then you wouldn't be frustrated. If you just said, "You know what, I want to do this because I want to support people, because I want to love people, because I want to help people," then you wouldn't be frustrated when money doesn't come in. The very fact that you're frustrated because you're not earning money, making money, doing what you love, lets me know that's not your true motivation. And so once you can get honest about what motivates you and what inspires you, then we can build a business around that supports that motivation. So when I got clear on the type of lifestyle, goes back to my message and my marketing. Mm-hmm. When I got clear on the type of lifestyle that I wanted to lead, I said, oh, then I have to charge this type of fee because I don't want to work with 1,000 people. So if I only want to work with 20 people, then the price has to go up so it can support that lifestyle, right? And that's what I'm very clear on. So I hope that makes it a little bit more understandable for him.
No, I think that's very true, and I think it goes back to the numbers. You have to do the numbers to figure out figure out exactly, who do I need to talk to, how many people do I need to talk to, what do I need to charge them, so that I can maintain a certain level of lifestyle.
Right, and a lot of people don't know their numbers, and we talked about that before we got on the air. What does it cost to finance your life? And so if we really got clear, and this is what I do with my clients, I sit them down and we go through an exhaustive survey of their life. Mm-hmm. Like, how many vacations do you want to take a year? How many times a month do you want to go out to eat? Do you want to just go the rest of your life window shopping, or do you really want to shop?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so what does this really look like? What do you want to do for your kids in 10 more years when they're graduating high school? Right. What area do you want to live in? What type of vehicle do you want to drive? So now, once we get clear on that, let's see what it takes to finance that. Mm-hmm. So when you tell me that this is what I want, this is the type of lifestyle I want, but I only want to earn $3,000 a month, then I say, well, $36,000 a year is not funding you going on 6 vacations a year. Right. Unless you're going to your uncle's house or your grandma's house right. and going to be on but you just told me you want to go to Cancun. Right. So now we got to readdress the numbers. And so once we readdress the numbers, I say, man, you're charging $25 an hour for this. You may need to charge $250. Mm-hmm. And then they say, oh, well, you know what? The people are not going to pay for that. No, not those people. So now you got to shift where you're marketing, and now you got to shift where you're networking. Now you got to shift where, once again, like we said earlier, the Bentley, they don't do a commercial, mm-hmm. right?
No, they don't. No commercial.
No commercial. They don't advertise in certain magazines. Now, if you get the Robb Report, you'll see the Bentley all up in the Robb Report. If you don't know what the Robb Report is, you're probably not in the market for a Bentley either, because then you would know what the Robb Report is. Right. You see what I mean?
Right.
So that's the difference.
Right. Okay, cool. Let me see here. So, do you have any employees?
I do.
How many employees do you have?
7.
You have 7 employees. So how do you keep them motivated, inspired, encouraged? How did they buy into your vision?
They bought into me because I bought into them. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times, as the boss or whatever, we come from the perspective of what can you do for us? What can you do for the company? I come from the perspective of what can the company help you do? What is your biggest goal? What is your biggest dream? Where most employers, and I work with corporate America a lot, what most employers are concerned with is their bottom line and the customer, right? But within any organizations, there are 3 visions. There's the vision of the company, there's the vision of the customer, but there has to be the vision of the employee. You have to be able to say, what's important to you? And once I found that out, that's the model that we use. I find out what's important to them, and if you give them what they want, they have no problem giving you what you want.
Nice. So do you have a culture that you've created with your employees? And how does that look? How did you create that culture? And
so it's I know a lot of people, this is a buzzword and people say this a lot, but we literally have a family culture. We're family. If you're going to invest 40, 50, 60 hours a week with people, mm-hmm. you need to know more than that's Shasta from HR. Right. You know what I mean? Right. That's Bob from IT. Right. That's Will from human. You need to go deeper. And so I'll give you a great example. When I moved here from Germany, we had five different families that moved with us. Mm-hmm. So think about that. Mm-hmm. All the way from Germany to Phoenix.
5.
And none of us had ever been to Phoenix before. None of us had ever been to Arizona before, but they bought into what we're trying to do and the way we're trying to impact the world. They bought into that. And so for all of them, and they all came at they all said they were coming at different times. And I really, truly believe that's because of the culture that we always develop, that we're family.
How does someone develop a culture?
It starts with vision. There's a parable that says, without vision, the people perish, right? So if the lack of vision causes you to perish, then having a vision should make you flourish, right? And so I've always started out with the vision. This is where we are right now, but this is what I see. This is where we're going. Right. And I'm very consistent in that messaging, and we talk about it a lot, and we determine how this move right here is helping us fulfill that. Like when I got ready to move from Germany to Phoenix, I said, this is how this move is going to help the company. This is how I see us moving forward in the future. And so you talk about it all the time. What are the goals? What is the outcome that you want for not only the company, but for everybody involved?
So basically just speaking about the vision. So you're a visionary.
I'm a visionary.
Most entrepreneurs are.
Most entrepreneurs are. We're visionaries and communicators.
We are, yes, definitely. But then there's also those other things that need to be done, right?
Right.
We call those the meticulous, tedious things of
So if you
business.
think about it, if you're listening to us, I want you to just think about making a square and squaring that off and make 4 little boxes. If you look at the bottom right corner, you're going to have visionary. Those of us that are visionaries. And then the next box right across is the strategist. Those are your lawyers, your accountants. Those are the people that's going to tell you how to get from A to Z, right? And then you have the doers. In that upper corner, upper left-hand corner, you have the doers. And then you have the communicator. Usually it's the same person, is the visionary, right? If you go off of that path, vision, strategy, executors or doers, and communicators, if you go off of that path, you're going to fail. What usually happens, me included, I used to do this a lot earlier on. I would get a vision, a dream late at night, wake up in the morning, and I immediately start talking about it. And when you talk about your vision, people really do get excited. So you would attract people. So I'm attracting the doers. But when we all came together, there was nothing to do because I never got with the strategist. So now everybody's frustrated, and he got us up here early this morning and nothing to do, right? So I had to discipline myself. Every idea that I get, even today, every idea, every vision that I get, I have to take it through this process. I have to go and say to my strategist, to my accountant, to my lawyers, to my team, how can we make this happen? How can we do this? Once I get that, and that's what the Bible says, make the vision plain. Write it down. Right. That they, the doers, that when they get it, it's clear to them. Right? When you don't make it clear, they're always coming back. Hey, what do we do next? What do we do? So write the vision down and make it plain. And when you do that, you have more success.
So as an entrepreneur who's a visionary and the communicator, how do you find your strategist, your strategist person?
You find that individual. You do so as you're talking about, as you're getting this vision, you begin to communicate the vision, not in a way that, hey, we're doing this tomorrow, but you just begin to communicate what you're passionate about when you start talking to people. And when you hear them and you hear what their goals are, and when you hear what they're passionate about, you can kind of see, hey, this is the person I need. Right. Like for me, people have always been attracted to my vision, right? They've been attracted to the vision. And so when I start to talk to them and I hear what they're attracted to and what they're passionate about, I see how they can fit in the system, right? And I said, man, we're looking for that. And we need that. Oh man, we need somebody to take, that place. And so that's how it happens for me.
So just talking about communicating your thoughts.
Yeah. Really being clear about what we're trying to do. And, usually what happens with entrepreneurs like me and you, we'll get together and what we'll do is have a great conversation and we'll be excited about taking over Phoenix, but we won't do anything. right? Because we just came up with another idea on the other 100. So we have to get disciplined to say, okay, yeah, we do have a great idea. It can work. But who are the people now that we need to talk to that will help us put a system around it that will make it profitable or make it execute a whole lot better?
True. So one thing with Connect the Dots for the marketing platform is to help people be more communicative, because that's what I found, that as entrepreneurs, nobody's really communicating their thoughts, what they want, what their business is, where they're trying to go. So giving them the platform to get on the radio show, to get in front of people and start to be able to talk, so like finding their voice, essentially, so that they can convey their message. What is something that you do daily or did to start to find your voice so that you can share your message with others?
I think it's a process. I think once you first start out, especially for me as a speaker, I started out and I would listen to other people. And so one time you would come hear me, I may sound like Les Brown. Another time you hear me, I may sound like Jim Rome. Another time you hear me, I may sound like, T.D. Jakes, right? So it is a process. And even no matter what business you're in, it's a process, I think, of finding your true voice. But the way you do it is you keep communicating, and then you keep having conversations with yourself. And so for me, I stopped modeling people for their voice and started modeling people for their systems. And so with T.D. Jakes or with Les Brown, I don't want to sound like you, but I want to know what system you're using to amplify your voice in the marketplace. And that's a difference than being a copycat, right? I'm modeling. Once I found my voice, once I found my business, I'm going to model what you're doing to amplify me.
And I think that's something that's good to talk about, because amplifying and marketing, they're kind of basically the same thing, right? So could you talk a little bit more about, on Friday you talked about the free ways people can market, utilizing Facebook, going live, Instagram. What are some other ways people can amplify their voice and market themselves so that they can be heard?
So, there's so many ways you can market. Like literally, I sit down with my clients and we have a list of 70 different ways you can market. You can do print, you can do a blog, you can send out mailers, you can network, you can speak from the stage. Like, even though I'm a professional speaker, I teach a lot of entrepreneurs how to use speaking as a marketing. So you're not even using speaking per se to earn money. You're just using it to amplify your voice. You have an expertise that you want to come and communicate to people. And I found that speaking is one of probably the best ways. Like if you think about, if my demographics is, women between the ages of 35 and 55, and I may be selling insurance. Well, I'm going to go down and find the Phoenix Business Women's Networking Group, and I'm going to offer to speak to them about success, women and success. It's my market, and so then now I can, after I finish speaking, they're going to say, well, what do you do? Well, I help people amplify their wealth through insurance. Oh, okay. Now that they heard you, they hear your story, now they're connected to you. Now they trust you a little bit, they like you, and now they want to do work with you.
So basically just coming down to the level, being personable, and offering them something, not necessarily a direct sale, because a lot of people, they want to get in front of people, but they want to do like a direct sale. They want somebody to buy their product right away.
So business is like dating, and I tell people this all the time. You don't go to the club, and some of you may, but you don't go to the club and I just met Shasta and I say, I like you, come back to my apartment. That's literally what it's like. And a lot of people, like, I just got an inbox this morning. I get them all the time. Hey, my name is Bill, buy my product. Well, at least ask me how I'm doing today, Bill.
Right.
At least ask me if I want some coffee with it,
Right.
And so, once again, when you're playing the long game, and this is why I always suggest, if you need to go get the job, to cover the basics, so you won't seem greedy, so you won't seem desperate, so you won't seem like you're struggling, go do that so you won't have to, appear that way. And once again, when you walk away from me, you go back and talk to your girlfriends and you say, I can't believe this dude just met me and asked me to come back to his apartment.
Right.
Who he think I am?
Right.
And that's what most people are saying about you every time they hang up the phone with you or every time you talk to them. Here's my card, give me your money, and No, it's not going to work that way.
Yeah. So how many touches do you think it takes before, and obviously depending on how big the deal is.
Yeah.
And, what goes into that deal. But how many touches does it normally take to close someone?
So the numbers, going back to the numbers again, they literally say it takes about 7 to 12 touches. 7 to 12 touches, right? Even if somebody wants the product, 7 to 12 touches. Very rarely do you have that one night stand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Ready to go right there.
Right. Let's go. Yep, he asked me to come over. I'm coming over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, very rarely does that happen. And so you should already have integrated into your marketing, your messaging. Touch number 1 is just saying hello.
That's right.
Touch number 2 is just a follow-up. Touch number 3 is maybe letting you sample, right, the product. Step number 4 is a follow-up after you sample the product. And so it's so many different variations. And like you said, something very important, depending on what the product is, the price of the product. Like, I don't know anybody, just knocking on your door willing to hand over $500 to $600, for your product, no matter how good it is. People have to think about things like that. They have to talk to their significant others and things like that. So you got to look at those numbers, and a great number, I would say 12 touches.
12 touches?
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah. So through your email.
Phone call, follow-up, little coffee chat. Yeah, about 12 touches for people to get to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
Right? I need, around number 8, I figure you're not going to leave the state if I give you $500.
Right. You're still going to be around.
You're still going to be around.
Right. No, that's very true. So just really quick, back to the Bentley. How much does the Bentley cost? Like $200,000? $200,000
to $300,000, depending on which one you get.
People don't really wake up and say, I'm going to go drop $200,000, $300,000.
Right.
Pretty much they've done some research on it.
They've done some research.
And they're like, okay.
And when we start talking about the Bentley, this is another great thing we can talk about. A Bentley is a car. Mm-hmm. A car is designed for transportation, but the Bentley is not for transportation. The Toyota Tercel, when somebody's buying a Toyota Camry, that's for transportation. A person who buys a Bentley, I'm buying this to reward myself. We just sold the company. I just made my first $1 million. I just got a huge contract, right? It's not about transportation. They're not trying to get to point A to point B. Another reason is for status, right? They're buying it for status. So you got to ask yourself, with your product and your service, is it something a person needs? Is it something a person wants? Or is it something a person desires? Right? And those categories are very different, and they're going to come with very different price points, and they're going to come with, the person who finally decides to invest in the Bentley. Like, you go buy a car, you invest in a Bentley, and people who invest in the Bentley, they take a little bit more time. The decision making takes a little bit more time. And so even your product, you got to ask yourself, man, you know what? What are some of the obstacles? What are some of the barriers? Because I tell people this all the time. I can show you all day long how to go get a Bentley. All day long, right? 2 times a day. It's not about getting it. Can you maintain it?
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Can you afford the insurance?
Yeah, if you start talking about how much is the gas.
You see what I mean? If you're talking about that, if you're talking, oh man, they want $600 for the insurance. Oh man, I just went and got a service, and the service for them to just open up the hood, not look at anything, for them to open up the hood was $2,500, right? When you go get, I remember the first time I got my my Range Rover, and I went to go get one of the tires changed, and I came back, and they had this ridiculous price, and they said, oh no, we don't just change one tire. And I'm from the hood. I'm from Compton.
Right.
Like, no, dog, no. Just give me the tire I want. I'll just take the other ones off. Right? And I had to realize, Will, you just moved into a different category. It's a different thought process. It's a different maintenance at this level. So, yeah, you got to think about that.
Cool. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up. But what can you leave us with today, Dr. Will? I mean, you got so many good things to say. A lot of starving entrepreneurs out there that's like, what can I do to implement tomorrow?
We talked about this before we got on air, and I want to make sure we mention this on air. Give yourself some time. Give yourself some time. There's a lot that you can accomplish in 10 years. There's a lot that you can accomplish in 20 years. But if you keep thinking you're going to do it in 10 days, and you keep thinking you're going to do it in 20 days, then you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be disappointed. One of the main things that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs is they don't play the patience game. If this is something that you really want to do in life, if you see yourself doing this, I see myself doing, I don't know what it will look like when I'm 80, but this is what I'll be doing. Somewhere, somehow inspiring, impacting, and influencing people. I don't know what the medium, I don't know if it will be Facebook Live, I don't know if radio will still be around, but this is what I'll be doing. So I'm willing to play the long game. I don't have to win tomorrow. I don't have to win next week. If I can build a company and a business that allows me to do this for the rest of my life, then what if it took me 10 years to build it so I could do it for another 30? Yeah. Then it's worth it.
Right.
Investing, right? I'm in for the long term. I'm like Warren Buffett. I'm a hold guy. I'm a buy and hold.
Right.
I'm a buy and hold. And so once I figured out that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I'm a buy and hold. Yeah. I'm not going to be 2 years from now doing something else. If you follow me, people that have followed me for the last 16 years, I'm talking about the same thing. Live genius, living in victory every day while getting engaged in unique significance. You know, I've been talking about the same message. I have soldiers who call me up now and say, man, you've been talking about that for a long time. Man, you still talking, I'm still talking about it, man. Still talking about it. And so that's what I would say. If this is something that you really want to do, if this is what you're really passionate about, if this is what you really think your purpose is about, give yourself the time. Give yourself the time and enjoy the journey.
Well, hey, you guys heard it here. Stay patient, stay true, invest in yourself. I think that's something else that entrepreneurs, they don't really see the value in investing in themselves, but definitely invest in yourself so that you can see yourself down the road, like you said, 10 years. It's not a long time to be able to, like you said, live the life that you want for 30 or 40 years. So you guys been listening to Mind Your Business on Support District Radio. I'm your host, Shasta Broaddus. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
That's so cool.
Perfect.
He said, yes, he did. I heard him say it.
Oh, who is that?
What is his name?
Is that Corey? I think he